My class all around. So let's go. I had it and start with a nice easy question. How did you first become involved in voice acting?
Nepotism. It's true. A lot. You'd be surprised how many people do. Justin Cook and I went to high school together, and we played music together. We played in a band for years. We moved around the country, a couple of different places. And we moved to Texas to join a band. Yay, Texas. Yay. And our drummer had a job as a sound engineer at Funimation. And this is back when Funimation was in the second floor of a bank building. Impressive, right? And fairly small number of voice actors compared to what we have now. But you would recognize most of them. Your Mike McFarlane, Chris Sabat, Sonny Strait, Eric Bale, those guys. So the drummer was the sound guy. He got Justin on as an ADR engineer who was working under Chris Sabat. Anyone who works at Funimation eventually, especially on bigger shows like Dragon Ball Z, are going to wind up being in them somewhere. There have been times they will go to the accounting department and go, hey, you want to do some stuff, we need more people. And someone was, I should say this first. I've been warned, I should say this first. I did have acting training before any of it. I didn't just walk in cold and go, I can do this. I had training all throughout junior high school, did some theater, so I could do it. Justin calls me one day, and it was on a weekend, and he says, we need to get these episodes finished, and everyone's out of town. Do you want to come try to do this? I said, yeah, I'd love to. So I went, and I think the first thing I did, I want to say it was Nom in Dragon Ball. And he said, all right, well, I have this contract you need to sign. A contract for what? I was having fun with the microphone. And so, and then I got a check. And then I was hooked. No, that's not true. I just enjoy doing it. I always wanted to do something like that. I grew up probably the same as many of you did, imitating any voices I hear off of television, trying to do my best Scooby-Doo or whatever. So everyone I think starts out like that. But that's it. I wish it were more impressive. I fell out of the sky one day, and I knew it wasn't home.
That's a great creation story.
Yes.
What have you found has been the most difficult challenge as a voice actor?
Disguising my voice. Certain people, like Eric Bale. Eric Bale I always use as an example of someone who is a chameleon in what you have to learn to pick out Eric Bale's voice because he can vary it in tiny little ways that you'll go, who is that? I feel like I know that. I cannot hide something about my voice that you'll point it out every time. I wish I were better at that, but I'm not. I'll deal with it. The good thing is, I can always play a 17-year-old boy. Right? That's 20 years younger than me, and I can still play a 17-year-old boy.
What has been your most difficult voice to do while trying to disguise it?
There came a point I just tried to disguise it. They were asking me to be in these shows for a reason, I felt like, so I just kind of gave in. For the most part, they'll say, try to go lower, or they might say, okay, we'll just make sure it's different than the other voice you did. But there will always be something you hear in it that you go, this change. Every time. Oh, I'll tell you an embarrassing one. It's not embarrassing. I should be happy about it. But in Case Closed, there's the episode where Jimmy as Conan, but Jimmy instead, meets the title kit, or family kit, I guess we call them. And I did voices for both of them. And it sounds like it. No matter how hard I tried, it was like, well, okay. I guess but they did that in the Japanese version, so we thought we'd try it. So double the time in the studio.
How often do you use the original Japanese anime as a reference? Or do you find that it's easier often?
Yes. And it's really left up to the director how they want to take the voice. There are times when they will see a character, they might think of you for the part, and your voice may not resemble the Japanese voice at all. But there are other times they will base who they cast off of what it sounds like. And they'll go, oh, that sounds like a Jerry, or that sounds like an Eric Bale, or it goes both ways. And sometimes we'll just flat out copy it.
It's nice to have source material.
Yes.
What has been your favorite role to play to date?
Oh my. You always pick favorites for different reasons.
Top 5.
Top 5. Kyo, because he was by far the most popular. Jimmy Kudo, because I liked the show, and because it went on for a while. Acting-wise, what is his name? This happens a lot when you have the whole over 100 characters, you start forgetting names. Bacchanal, Claire Stanfield. If you haven't seen it, I completely recommend it. I love that show. It is a great show. I had a blast doing it. And we got to use accents. Anytime we get to use accents, yay. That doesn't happen very often either. Let's see. Happiness Bunny from Shin Chan is another one. I don't expect most of you are familiar with it, but the ones that are, you know what I mean. And let's see, how are we at 4? One more. Oh, Jin the Windmaster from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Nice.
That was a good one. It's true. You check it. I promise I'm not lying.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's been
I'm gonna go watch that again.
Get on there.
10 or 11 years since I've played that.
So you now are taking a step back from voice acting in this new role as ADR director. What does this role entail for you now?
Well, the only reason I'm doing that is it's a matter of time. It's difficult to have the actors in all day and try to meet your schedule and then say, well, but I'm going to hop in there and do it as well. So you try to focus more on everyone else. I still hop in there and do bits, people that you're not going to recognize. Person 305A, I'll pop in and do something like that. But now it is holding auditions, casting, scheduling, coaching, and trying to meet deadlines to get the show out on time. So we're all working for somebody, right?
One is are most of the people that you're working with your former peer group? Is that kind of
Well,
interesting?
I still look at them as my peer group. I mean, they're all my friends. And most of them, especially the people that have been there as long as we have, there's very little for me to do when they're in the booth. There might be something where they might not know the full story of what's going on because they pop in and they pop out. They don't have time.
Just inside
Right.
instead of the full script.
They don't. Well, we'll have the full script, but we don't let them read it all the way through. We go to their lines. We say, okay, here's what's happening. Go. And when you're working with some of those people, again, the same group I named earlier. I forgot Monica Real. She's another one. But when you're working with those people, you realize very quickly there's a reason those people have been doing this for a long time. It's because they know what they're doing and they're very good at it. And as a director, it's the easiest job in the world. If you have that. There are times we still try to bring in new people, so there's still some coaching that goes on. But I guess overall it's just nice to be trusted that someone thinks that you can coach people into a decent performance.
For those who are in it for the cruelty.
There are other things to do, and a lot of people that are anime fans forget that sometimes, but a lot of the voice actors we have do other voice work, first of all. Radio spots, television voiceover, some of them do commercials, some of them do live action, some of them do movies. I know Jason Douglas has been in a whole bunch of stuff, live action and anime, and they're just trying to keep working. That's really what it's about. It's trying to have enough money at the end of the day to do the things you want to do. Like eat, and if you think you're going to dub anime and be able to eat all the time, you're like sad.
It seems like the strongest foundation for a voice actor would be acting.
Acting.
Learning your craft.
Acting. First and foremost. Well, you know, and that's another thing I like about dubbing is the physical part of it is, yes, some of us move around in the booth and we try to get into it as much as we can because you can hear it in the voice. However, it's not you that everyone's looking at. And if you're on stage, for example, you're going to be the one doing all of the action. In anime or any kind of cartoon, it's not like that. Something else is doing all of that for you. So that aspect of acting is taken away. So you can focus more on, how would I say this line? Anime is slightly different in that we're trying to work with the flaps as well. And I know not every anime company does that. And that is a completely different skill set, learning how to match flaps as best you can. We all know we don't always very well match flaps. We're glad you overlooked that. Thank you for your time. Sometimes it can't be done. But it's, I don't know, I've always liked the vocal aspect of acting anyway. It's not because I love the sound of my own voice, but to me that's where the emotion comes out, is how are they saying this line. It's not about, well, I don't know, I didn't buy this sort of fucking in that scene. I want to believe the character through what they sound like.